Welcome to Dialogue 340. I'm here with a slew of entrepreneurs at my left and at my right, and it's going to be an interesting conversation today. We're not about challenging anybody, but we are going to speak our truth about what we see as young entrepreneurs in the territory. I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves and start with Mr. Shamari.
Hi, my name is Shamari Haynes. I'm the founder and designer of Simply Sophisticated Fun Troupe and the Deputy Commissioner with the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism.
My name is Saleem. I'm co-founder of Boomerang Eats, food delivery app.
My name is Naydyeyah Acoy Thomas. I'm a professional MC and the owner of MC Nays Entertainment and Event Productions, where we do events on island. I also am the recent host of Amplify St. Croix, where we speak about the culture and the music in the Virgin Islands.
Hi, I'm Jahnesta, Ritter, owner of Savor St. Croix.
And I'm Richard Dorsey. I'm a chicken farmer. Don't mind the noise.
Hey, good morning. I'm Charles Moorehead. I'm actually the owner of Only True Feathers Entertainment, also known as OTF. We do a lot of events around the island, party promotions, so that's what we do.
Hi, my name is Zarina. I'm the owner of Z's Naturalee, where we cater to all natural hair care.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Dennis. I am a upcoming entrepreneur who is currently starting a grocery delivery business known as Flow Delivery. And I am also a founder of a new organization, which I hope you will hear about in the near future, known as VITAL, which stands for Virgin Islands Territorial Advancement and Legacy, where we hope to empower upcoming entrepreneurs and just our local community in whatever aspirations they aspire to bring to life. And I am also a civil engineer at the Virgin Islands Port Authority.
So as you see, ladies and gentlemen, we have a wide selection of individuals who have their passions and their pursuits attached to their pockets and pocketbooks. And it's not easy sometimes. So I want to open this conversation with, when you actually started to chase your dream, what were the comments, what were the sentiments? Because sometimes we always hear we should do what we want, but when we tell people what we're going to do, well, that's not really going to make money, that's not in a good industry, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer. So I'm going to ask Naydyeyah. Start with a lovely lady to my left. When you actually started to pursue your enterprise, were you taken seriously?
Well, I've always heard that I had a nice voice. I remember when I was in junior high, a classmate of mine came to me and said, "You have a nice voice and I think you should do radio." And I never took it seriously because it sounds like a hobby, like especially when I talk to my family and friends about it. It sounded like a hobby. And I went to college. I went and pursued a business administration degree in management, which my family comes from a family of businesses, but I always had a heart for communications. And when I first started doing it, I did it at UVI, at UVI in St. Thomas, and my family was like, "Naydyeyah, you're not focusing on your work, you're focusing on being in this radio station all the time, doing this little radio thing, And I didn't have a lot of support, but when I showed them that I was serious about it, it wasn't until after I had my son. So this was about 6 years ago when I really started taking it seriously, and they saw the talent in me, and they said, "Okay, you can go ahead and pursue that as a full-time career." So I've had a lot of support after showing them that this is something that I really wanted to do.
Does anybody else have a similar story where you kind of had to do it first and then they believed you? Or do we have a positive story of like out the gate you just had like hands and feet ready to work with you?
Well, I started my festival troupe at the age of 16 in high school. I remember I was a laughing stock. I think, like, when looking back on that, reflecting, I think that people just, the conversation was, at 16, how is he going to do this? I had some support from my seamstress. I had support from Jerry Viale and Kevin Hendricks, who I still have a very good connection with today. I had no idea that Simply Sophisticated Fun Troupe would have grown into the magnitude of a carnival troupe that it is. It was just, at the age of 16, 28 of us. Now we are the biggest carnival troupe in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I after about 8 or 9, maybe 10 years of doing it, then that's when I decided, hey, maybe this is something that we should do long term. But we're very close to closing out that legacy.
Okay. You said you were a laughing stock.
Yeah.
What made you push through?
I had 2 members at the time in the second year, excuse me, Kiara Abramson and Tiana Cork, who came up to me the second year and it was like, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I guess. But I've always had a love for design. I've always had a love for festival. I've always been within the space. I come from a line of musicians and seamstresses who have also been very intertwined in the culture. So I kind of ended up just being the one from a generation within the family who just ended up taking the mantle and running with it. There's nobody else my age, my generation within my family that's even culturally inclined or have any interest. I'm literally the only one.
So you're breaking the mold for your family?
I am.
Anybody else had support or setbacks coming in? This is an open conversation because
I had support out the gate. I come from a line of family who is in business. My aunt owns a hair store, so she definitely was one of my main supporters out the gate. She gave me ideas. She told me what to do, what not to do, what I should. Of course, I didn't listen to all the ideas she gave me, but she definitely influenced me. And my mom, for sure, definitely helped me and pushed me. So I had support. I was lucky enough to have those two people behind of me 100%.
Mo, Charles?
So I would say, for me, coming to the entertainment industry, it wasn't like I just woke up one morning and said I want to do it. I actually fell onto it because my older brother, he was promoting back on St. Croix, F Square Promotions. So being a young kid in high school, that was his doorman, collecting money, stuff like that. So I started to build that, that connection of entertainment with the people of the community, as in, like, I think I want to do this. I think I want to be that one to be the reason why Naydyeyah comes out, had a good time. Shamari comes out, spend all his money at the bar,
Oh,
I want to be that guy to say, yeah, I had a blast at your event. And when I thought about it, I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and do it. But when I push it and push my ideas and my agendas, then I start to hear, well, you sure you want to do it because the economy is this and you're taking a risk and you're sure you're going to captivate those, your audience that you're trying to, to push your event towards. And I said, I feel so. I think I could do it. And yeah, it is a risky business, but you wouldn't know unless you try. From since I did my first event, and I could tell you the event I did was around my birthday in September. That was my first opening. I had Fusion Band on the card. I had who else I had? I had Trinity Crew as my DJs. I also had it was Gusty and A Plus them Choke Off from St. Thomas on my card. At that time in 2019, Fusion Band was getting their lash, and that it wasn't too much highly favored. But Hendrix, he and I are very good, and Choke Off was pretty much on the rise at that time in that little period, and it turned out very well. And I said, you know what? That's it. That's all I need to see. And from there on, it was sold.
Couldn't turn back after that?
No.
I like it. Anybody else has a starter story?
My family been mad supportive. I could have been a sweater cat seamstress. So I never faced no, if you have a dream, go get it, chase it. So I've been fortunate in that regard. And then my two kids, I try to pass it down to them. As an adult, apparently it seems a little different. So maybe you don't give them the time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, been blessed.
Okay. Well, I know she could cook, so I didn't think there was any help.
Well, for me, similarly, if I want to fly to the moon tomorrow, my circle, like my family, the people who mean the most to me are behind me. They might try to come on the, what do you call them?
Sphere shit.
They're like, oh, can we come? So for me, next thing that I want to mention is that I don't really look for approval for the most part. So if I say I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to research and do it to the best of my abilities. But when I started Savor St. Croix in 2014, I started it because I had to. I had just come home and I was looking for opportunities, and I decided to create my own opportunity. So, and because I come from a family of really talented cooks and bakers, it was very easy to get into Savor St. Croix. So for those who aren't aware, Savor St. Croix is not just a catering company, but I started with a subscription box. So I have a greedy cousin who lives in the States, and he used to harass me up to this week. He was asking me for gooseberry stew. And he always wanted me to mail stuff to him. So I was like, you know what? There must be people just like him in the States who miss home, don't get to come home often, and they want whether it's like frozen fish or, pastries, preserves. So I pretty much make all of the things that I sell. So when I started in 2014, it was like, okay, I'm going to do the subscription box. And then we quickly, started catering large events. And I have a knack for renovations. So if you show me 5 properties, I'm going to choose the one that looks like you shouldn't even enter. Like it doesn't even look safe. So I kind of used my catering business to support my other dreams. And again, my family, sometimes they think the ideas are crazy, but they're going to be supportive. So I started buying real estate when I first came home because it was a good time to buy. So that was around 2013, 2014 when the market was a little different. And I was just transforming places because I want to see St. Croix look different. And even if me with my little small pocketbook, I'm able to transform little spaces around the island, that's what I set out to do.
Awesome. So I'm hearing that there's a lot of love in the passion and in the pursuit from your circle. We're going to walk outside of the circle now. I am so sorry if anyone gets in their feelings after this segment. I had support from my family. For those that know, come from the Hennymans, Ice People, Hustlers, and working was just a part of the summer activity. We all had summer jobs?
Yep.
Yes. I had Social Security check stubs way too young. But what I found is once I stepped outside of my circle and I had to go into business and dealing with business owners, dealing with GVI, dealing with clients, that's a whole different animal. But before we descend into the bottomless despair of business, what was that moment in business where you felt like I could keep doing this forever? And I'll give my story. It was the first time I wiped my own windows. So I started in Caribbean clothing, then Urban Threads. So for almost 10 to 15 years, I've been wiping everybody else's windows and countertops. But in 2016, 2017, I opened up Island Analytics and Marketing, which was the first data analytics and marketing support company based in the Virgin Islands, owned and operated by Virgin Islanders. And while it sounds all fancy, what moved me almost to tears was I'm wiping the windows of my own office because I've done that for somebody else for so long. I didn't even get a check, didn't have a client yet. I didn't even have 2 desks inside the office, but it was just the fact that I'm wiping my own windows. Did you guys have a moment where either you're bottling it for the first time, you're doing your first MC gig, you're dropping off your first delivery, where you're like, wow, I'm here?
Yeah. So for 10 years, from 2008 until 2017, if I remember correctly, we made all of our costumes 100% local. I mean, from the, drying on the fabric, to the cutting of the belts, to the gluing of the stone, it was like 101% all local right here. In 2017, we started to, I still do all the design. I still do all the design, but all my costumes are done overseas. So I do the prototypes, I send them away, I have a factory do them, package them, ship them back to me. So when they're back to me, all I have to do is just separate them based on the order. But then I realized how big of a deal it was when I, started to make some connections within the industry throughout the broader Caribbean and realized I working with the same exact, companies and manufacturers who doing costumes for Troupe and Yuma. And if you're in the carnival space, you understand that these carnival troops are like
massive,
yeah. Right? Big. And then when the pandemic happened, I was one of the only clients who stayed with the vendor. So I've developed and cultivated a relationship with him. We're practically like family, right? So it's just me and all these Chinese people who just have this close relationship. But that moment when when we were able to get those costumes manufactured overseas, that's when I realized, okay, I onto something. And I have not looked back yet. Now, all our backpacks and stuff like that are still done here on island. But I even took it a step further last year, and I had, the Chinese, produce like some feta pieces and stuff. So now I have other carnival troops. I received a phone call maybe 2 weeks ago from a carnival troop who's now trying to figure out how was I able to get it done. And, I'm telling them, well, hey, the Chinese now doing this. And he's like, you got a Chinese point feathers in back. And I was like, yeah. But that was my moment.
That was your moment?
Yeah.
Anybody else had that key moment where like, business? I could do this.
Yeah. Well, my My first booking ever in entertainment was a complete disaster. It was one of the worst bookings I've ever had in my life. And so I've always loved the stage. I've always loved entertainment. I've loved productions and things like that. So one of the first businesses that I did was a Mentee's Golden Entertainment, where we had mascots that would go to different birthday parties. And it was my first booking, and I had 5 characters, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. It was the whole shebang. And we came in, and I was ready. I had my script. I had everything that I wanted to do, my whole entire list. But the booker, she had her idea of what she wanted to do for the party. So I had my list of things to do, and she had her list of things to do. And I said, you know what? Since it's her party, I will let her do her list. And, we'll have a good time because she's doing what she wants. 3 hours later, at the end of the booking, I didn't get to finish anything on my list, but I felt that because she was happy doing her list, that is how it was supposed to be. And she pulled me to the side and she said, I'm very disappointed. You had a list of things that you said you was going to do, and you didn't do any of it. And I told her, I said, well, we did what you wanted to do. Like, I'm thinking that I'm pleasing the client by doing what they want to do. And she was like, no, I'm very disappointed. I don't want to pay you. I feel like you told me you was going to do this and you didn't do it. And it was just, and I went in the car and I cried, but I couldn't leave the venue. And I told my employees, I told y'all, go home. I'm going to stay here. Like, I can't believe I just got berated like that. Mm-hmm. And I went back inside afterwards and I said, can I talk to you for a second? And I said, I want to do this again. Give me another opportunity. She has a lot of grandkids. I said, give me another opportunity. In 2 months, she had another book, and I said, I want to do this booking for you. And that second booking, I went in and I demolished it. It was a production. You see Mickey and me like dancing hard and everything, and I was like, this is what I wanted to do from the beginning, but I didn't get the opportunity to do because I was trying to please her. But after that, I said every booking from now on is a challenge. If me and the person that's booking me have to go through it, we're going to go through, but I want to make sure that I'm showing them why they booked me. I'm going to show them why you hired me. And ever since then, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be in entertainment. I want to challenge myself. I want to go big or go home. And that was a learning experience for me. And I love that it happened at my first booking. Like, I didn't do a bunch and then that happened. I love that it happened at my first, because after that, it was full force after that.
So you own that L.
I own that L. Yes, I took it.
I wouldn't change it.
I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. I needed that. I needed that.
All right. Anybody? What was that? Go ahead.
I think it's such a difficult question because everybody's different. But I think at our core, we're kind of similar where you took that as a challenge, like I'm doing this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. And for me, it's a constant, it's a week to week, sometimes month to month thing with you actually looking at yourself and saying, I'm doing this. And it changes. Like sometimes I have these highs. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, when I got in business, said, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And that was like some of the best advice I got, where you can't get too high. Because if you live by the compliments, you'll die by the critique, right? Yeah. So I constantly...
Them Icarus wings,
gotta ride it. And so for me, it's a constant just reassurance, like, you can do it. You look for the signs, you take the omens, you take it in and say, you know what? Today was a good day. Let's go. Let's build upon it. So it's a difficult question for me. I don't know if there's one moment. I think it's a day by day, week by week thing where I feel sometimes. I saw a post on Jim. It said it had a cat looking into a puddle and it was a lion mindset. And it's really just setting your mindset and being tough. Because this place will eat you up.
Oh.
Right? You got to be tough.
This side of the congregation, come testify. What was that moment where you're like, yo, business? I could do it. I could keep going. I'm hungry for it. You guys had those moments?
So for me, again, back to my first event, of course, we've all been in some type of jam or event growing up. And of course, when the event's about to end, the lights turn on, it's time to go home. But people don't tend to leave because they're having such a good time. And for me to be that promoter in that moment, jam's about to end, it's after 4, time to go home, and people are still partying, I was like, yeah, I could get used to this, Then when you go behind the scenes and you see what your bar made, and you see just how everything just worked out just flawlessly, it was like, yeah, I think I could really hold on to this and, push even further and do bigger and better things. So just from that one little small event where I didn't have no A-list performers, just regular locals, who love and enjoy music, they came and they put their heart into it. And again, like I told you, like, fusion band wasn't the hardest thing at that time. But just when they were warming up, I remember this clearly. One guy was outside and I was like, what? That's fusion?
Yeah.
That's not jamming?
Yeah.
And I was like, he playing with me right now? But, like, they were for real. Like, they really was enjoying it. So, yeah.
You said something, though, with the stats. Sometimes when you look at those stats, you get to smell those flowers like, that's right, I did that. That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling. Anybody else on this
I'll
side?
provide a different perspective because I think a lot of what I'm working right now is not really at like the, how do I say, like it's not in the operating phase. It's still very much in like the startup phase. So I think one of the hardest things to do when you have an idea and you're trying to bring it to life is very hard to keep going when you're not seeing that end product. When you don't, you know, we're very much like you have to like see things in real life. It's hard to keep going when you don't actually see the product. And I think me personally, what really helps me to keep going despite actually seeing that product of like my ideas and what I want to bring to life is the intended effect that it will have on my community. You know, I am a type of person where, you know, success is nice, but I think helping others succeed along with you is better. Like it feels better when you succeed, but you help others, like you help to uplift others around you, you know? So as a person that is currently trying to, you know, create initiatives to help benefit our community, I think that's what helps me going is like knowing that when it's all said and done, like you said, rising waves help lift everyone up. So that, you know, community effect that it will have, I think that's what helps to keep me going in my phase.
That's awesome. That's lovely. And I just thank everyone for listening so far. Of course, you know, we're going to do part 1, part 2, part 3. Come back in 2 seconds.